Hi, welcome back to Art and Soul. My name is Mike Severin, the host here, and I'm really glad you could join me again tonight. We've been kind of over the last few weeks been going through some transitions, and I apologize for you, those of you that follow me every week, and hopefully here in the coming weeks we're going to be getting back on track and get things kind of back into a normal flow like we've had for the last year. It's exciting, but yet a little scary at the same time. So it's all positive. Tonight, what I'm going to do is I was going to start a brand new painting, but I thought it might be kind of enjoyable for you and might be a learning process for you to watch one of the paintings that I've been working on in my studio at home, and just to kind of go through the process with you and give you maybe that gives you a little more insight, and maybe it's a little more advanced too than some of the other shows that we do. So maybe this might pique the interest of some of you that have been painting for a while and looking maybe for some other little trinkets of information that might help you in your painting. So the painting I'm working on here is quite large. It's 3 foot by 4 foot, which is quite large. It is on a piece of birch panel. Those of you that follow me know I use the birch panels a lot, for a number of reasons. First thing is just expense. Something this large in a regular canvas, stretch canvas, would probably be $120 or something. Here I've got maybe $4 or $5 invested in this piece. Plus the fact, and this is the part that I really like, is that I've got a smooth surface. I don't have the tooth of a canvas that I'm working with, which causes, hard to do some of the fine detail. Most of your wildlife artists use the birch panels to work off of. So that's what we're working on here. I've kind of blocked in, you can see this this scene that I've created here. I just started in yesterday blocking in just a little bit of this is going to be a kitten that's sitting here, and I'm probably going to add in another cat maybe that's down here. Going to add some things to it to just make it interesting. And of course then the woman standing there on that outside balcony, and I started to develop this where this robe, if you want to call it that, is it's kind of sheer, so you're seeing some of the skin tones that are coming through, and I've kind of created this a little bit of a lace that's up here on the top of her shoulders and down her arm. Obviously this is just kind of in the I'm going to say probably middle ground as far as developing the painting itself. There's some things that I wanted to kind of go through with you and show you how I go about them, and maybe this might help you. I think to begin with, I'm going to go through and show you what I'm going to do with putting in these handrails or these cast iron rails that are in the background here. I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. And what I've done is I took basically a ruler, and these are the spaces between these is 1.5 inches. So I've marked these over here where I want these to be, and I don't want it to come clear down to the base here. I think we're going to go with it maybe right across, a little lower here. So anyway, that's the process. I've already made the marks and just did it with the pencil. So now I'll come back in now and paint these rails. And how we do that is really quickly, I'll show you what I've got on the canvas here, or on the palette. I have a cad yellow, cad orange, our titanium white, a burnt sienna, a cobalt blue, a Payne's gray, which is almost a black in nature, our purple, dioxazine purple, and some alizarin crimson. So for what we're going to do here for these rails is I'm going to take some of that Payne's gray and just getting some paint thinner in there. I don't want it real soupy, but I want to just get it a little more fluid than what it is. And what I do is this is a ruler that's actually for quilting, and I really like using this when I'm doing structures where there's a lot of straight edges, because then I can actually see through the painting or through the ruler to where the painting is at. So it kind of gives me a little better idea of where I'm at. And I'm just basically, all I'm doing is I took that paint and I'm just coming right down, just using that as a straight edge. Get a little more paint on there. And I'm not really too worried about as far as, I can take and clean it up here once I get it at least blocked in, but this is just a good way to do this, so that we're making sure that we've got our lines parallel to each other, and that's, whenever you start doing structures of any sort, it's really important that you make sure that your lines and measurements are correct, because anything that's off really jumps out when you step back from the painting. So that's the reason why I use the ruler a lot of times if I'm doing straight edge or anything that has a lot of lines in it. That way it all stays correct. And this last one here, grab a little more paint. I hope you've been doing stuff that's creative in your own life, and that's obviously is a big part of this show, is encouraging that and supporting that. And in fact, I had somebody that sent me a picture the other day of a painting that they had done through the inspiration of this show, which was really neat to see. And I'd love to have you send your artwork to me. At the end of the show, my email address is always posted on there, and so I'd love to see what you're painting on at home, and maybe at some point I can start sharing what some of you are creating at home in your own time, and I think that would be kind of fun for everyone to be able to see. What I've done here while I was talking there is I just have added just a cross bar at the bottom of that handrail. Something about like that. And I like this, with this door being closed, having that handrail still there. But with the door open here, it's important to have it open, I think. Otherwise, it looks like these rails are actually in this door panel itself. That was one of the things I wanted to make sure of when I brought the woman in here, is that I covered those parts of that up, so it would set that back so that you knew that the door was here, then the woman, then the handrail behind her. And so we've got that in place, and I'm gonna grab a little bit more paint with that paint thinner. And right up here at the top, we've got these little scrolls that are here. And I'll just take and put in ones on this side just so that it is complete. I thought this might be just kind of interesting for some of you to be able to watch what goes on, in a private studio. Sometimes with the show, I don't have the time that I would like to share some of the more fine points of being a painter. And so this is kind of a nice opportunity maybe for you to give you some insight and kind of see the process that I go through working in the studio every day. And you can see basically just trying to duplicate that little design that we have established there on the other side. Somebody, and I get this question asked a lot of me. He said, what inspires you? And most of you that have been watching me for any length of time, I paint such a wide variety of subjects, and the reason why is because there's so many things that inspire me. There are so many things that I see daily that I just go, oh man, I love the way the light's playing off that. I should paint that. Or I'll be staring. In fact, the other night there was a bunch of friends around, and most of you know by my posts and things that I talk about that I spend a lot of time in front of the fire pit every night when the weather's conducive to it. And the other night it's actually the summer solstice night a couple of nights ago, and I was sitting there by the fire pit, and the sun was going down, and the light as it was going down had kind of a reddish hue that was hitting off of the trees. And I started asking the people that I was around that night, what colors do you see? And it was interesting to hear what people saw in the colors, and it was quite fascinating. And that's the part about art that is really I love, is that everyone's vision and what they see is different, and those different things that they see inspire them in different ways. And so, I watch and see and look every day at things, and everything that you see in life evokes, or hear music-wise maybe, evokes some sort of an emotional response from you. And in fact, just coming in tonight, I was driving down the street, and I saw a little gray BMW convertible, and instantly it flooded a bunch of memories of a car somebody that has one of those, and it was just kind of a special moment, just because, a simple little thing like that, just seeing a car can evoke thoughts and emotions and feelings. And the same with music. I mean, there's so many times that a song will come on the radio and it will bring back a memory of someone or a time or an event that was going on. And take and use those moments as inspiration for you. And there's so much going on in the world of negative, that's so negative right now, and so much hatred, and anything like that's special that we see in life that's a positive. We need to take and embrace that and really use those things to brighten our own life and find joy. There's, like I said, there's so much hatred out there that it's we need any positive that we can in our life. So as I was talking there, you could see I just was keeping that paint thinned out, and I'm just coming back now and just cleaning up a little bit of that handrail. Just making sure that those lines are pretty clean. They don't have to be perfect, but we want to have them, pretty symmetrical and placed right, just so that they look correct. That kind of gives that. It really, I think, makes it look a little better across there. Now, I'm kind of thinking. I'll go through quickly with the composition here, because there's a lot that we can do in this painting, and we could make it as complicated or as simple as what we want to do here. I started out basically with just this chair with this open door without the woman there. I liked having the way the band of light was coming in through the doorway and through the panel and hitting onto the hardwood floor. And then having this chair here, I thought was really, it just set it off. And so that's what I started with. And then as kind of as inspiration, and so then I started building on it. I said, okay, what would make it balance? It was pretty balanced with having the chair here and with the big light and the door here, but it needed something more. So I decided to put the lady out there on the balcony. And then I thought, okay, well, it would look kind of nice if we had maybe something in the chair. So that's where I came up with the idea of putting the little cat in the chair. And I'm thinking maybe about adding maybe 2 or 3 cats in the painting, and maybe having one of them down here playing with a ball of yarn, or something that tells a story. And but I want to make sure that we have it balanced. I want to, for some reason, I think needs to be something that fills up in this space. Now that's just my own perspective, my own opinion on that. And in fact, I'm just going to go out on the limb, and we're going to put in maybe some sort of a nice little plant, maybe that's maybe on the other side of that chair, against this little wall. So I think what we'll do is we'll just grab a little 1/2-inch angle brush here, and wonder what we'll just do some greenery. So I'm gonna grab some of that cobalt blue, and I'm gonna add in some of our cad yellow, and just kind of come up with a nice, kind of a lime green color here. And this is a big moment of truth here. This is one of those things that it's always a little scary when you start doing it, but we're gonna put in a big stem that comes off there, maybe one that comes here. And the thing that is important that I think that you need to remember is there's nothing that, let's say I put this in and I step back from it and go, oh man, what did I do? That's not a great idea. I can always take and paint over it. It's not the end of the world, and that's the part that sometimes you need to have the actual see it in order to know whether or not it's something that's going to work or not. And I'm just taking, and I'll show you what I was doing there. I'm thinking about putting some big leaves on here, and I'm just taking that angular brush and I'm just flattened it, and I'm just twisting it. And what that's doing is it's actually pulling some of the blues that are in the brush out along with the greens. And so you get kind of a variegated leaf, kind of some nice big leaves that are there. I'm not sure yet what we're going to do as far as the type of a plant or flower. Maybe it's one of your own creation, who knows? But we'll just put in a few more of those big leaves. A little thicker down here. Maybe a little, even some darker, because this would be farther down here. It wouldn't maybe be catching as much light. This is just, to me, this is fun. Now, a lot of people this might be frustrating for them without having some sort of a plan mapped out. But to me, this is really fun just because I don't know what it's going to be, and sometimes it just appears. It will just pop out, and if you hadn't taken the risk, you wouldn't have known whether or not it looked right or not. And so don't be afraid to experiment and take those risks, because that's what this process is all about, and that's where you learn, is learning what works and what doesn't work. Being creative is just the fun thing that I think everybody needs. And I say this all the time, and I don't mean to harp on it, but it's just so important, I think, to have the creative outlet in your life. And so if this is your deal and you love to paint like I do, then that's great. If there's something else that you have a passion for, just take and spend the time to do that. I have a mom that sent me a message here a week or two ago now, I suppose, and was thanking me for the show and what a blessing it's been to her. She's got a couple of small children, and she loves to paint, but she, with having the kids around all the time and young ones, or time, she hasn't had the time to devote to it. And because of the encouragement from the show here, she's been taking, and she's got a little tabletop easel that she's got set up with her paints. And so now every night after the kids go to bed, she will sit down and paint for 15 or 20 minutes. She said sometimes is all she can devote to it, but she said it's really made a difference in her outlook on life, just having that creative outlet. And so, maybe that's what you need to do in your own life, just as something to give you a break from the stresses of daily life. I always step back. I think that's looking pretty good. I may end up extending that out a bit further here towards the front of the chair. But what that does is I think it really kind of gives a little bit more added dimension to the painting, as well as and something else of interest in it. So I think for right now, we'll call that a day as far as the painting for the show here. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend with me, and hopefully you in your daily life can find the happiness that you need, the things that bring you contentment and joy and peace in your life, whether it be in this avenue, like I said, or in something else. It's just important. We have, unfortunately, we've had so many disasters here lately across the world, both from weather-wise to shootings in Tampa, and then not too long ago with what went on there in France. And there's so much fear in our world today, so many things to bring us down and to take away the joy and take away the happiness. It saddens me when I see what's going on in the world. Hopefully, by the little words for this little show, maybe I can bring some peace into your life and some happiness and some joy. And for this half hour out of your day, maybe you can have a respite from the rest of the world and what's going on. Don't allow what goes on in the world to bring you down. Unfortunately, that's, I think, what a lot of people, it happens all the time, and I talk to people, you hear them, they're so discouraged because of all of the negativity that's going on with the political campaign and just what's happening there, and the opinions, and the people that are against the whole gay community, and yet there's some people that have supported now the gay community because of the shootings that happened in Tampa. I'm here not to make a political statement, but making a humanity and heart statement that we as a world, and it starts with us individually, need to find peace and happiness within ourselves and share that with those around. There's always going to be hatred. There's always going to be those that are out to destroy and to tear down. But those of us that have that positive heart and outlook on life, we can have an influence and have an impact on the world, whether it be just the person that you meet at the store or at work environment, wherever it might be. If everybody would do their part to share and spread love and peace and joy and happiness, our world can change and become a better place. Do your part this week. Be inspired. Show peace and joy to those around you. And next week, we'll start our regular painting. We'll hopefully get back to the way things have been in the past. And I encourage you to have a week of peace and joy. Blessings to you. Thank you for joining me here on Art and Soul.